Welcome back. Happy Wednesday to you. What's going on, everybody? Tap on the like button. We're back. It's hump day, and it's time for the Funker530 live show. We got a lot to talk about today, but then again, we pretty much always do, because there's always something crazy happening. Tap the like button. Drop a comment. Let me know where you guys are. Here we go. How we doing? Where are we chiming in from? Hi, Ronnie. Hello to you. Who's Ronnie? Don't know. Never heard of her. Toledo. Welcome in. Calgary, Alberta. California, Netherlands. Ohio. OH. West Virginia. Western Virginia. We will take back West Virginia for the rest of us Virginians one of these days. Scotland. Another West Virginian. What's going on? Mosin, thanks for the 14 months. I see you out there, buddy. Vancouver. Alabama. In Greenbow, Alabama. Spain, welcome in. Scotland, Cheyenne, Manchester, everywhere. We're all over the globe, and we absolutely love that. That's one of the best parts about the Funker530 community is it is worldwide. You know, we are an international community. I want to say our website traffic, just to give you guys a little bit of kind of an admin update, if you will, and then I got some updates on some videos that we dropped. You know, we're doing somewhere between 8 and 9 million page views a month, sometimes more than that, sometimes up to 10 million, and only about 60% of our total traffic comes from the United States. So there are folks across the globe that are hoping to get a better understanding of the raw footage coming from on the ground, and we don't catch all of it. This show encapsulates just a highlight or just a snippet of the total footage that we have on the website. And the total footage that we have on the website is just a snippet of what's out there. So this is our, request from you. When you guys catch something out in the wild and you don't see it in the app or you don't see it on the website, tag us. Tag myself, Will. I run the Funker Actual account most days nowadays. So tag that one, and we'll do our best to get it put up there. We're still a small team. Just like I'll say until I'm blue in the face. Let me give you guys an update on some videos that we put out over the last week. Since we last talked, we've published 3 edited videos. I told you that was something that you're going to see more of from us. First and foremost was a video about Sudan and the situation in Sudan. I did my best to break that down as simply and as plainly as I could, because it is a complex situation that goes all the way back to the Land Cruiser War. So if you haven't seen that, go over there and take a look at it. One of the things that I noted in that video is, potentially Russia's involvement in some of that unrest. Now, of course, the U.S. and just about everybody in a goal for hegemony is going to also have some level of involvement, because that's ultimately what you do. You essentially, as a government, get involved externally to further your nation's agendas. What's interesting is the comments, though, after, identifying some pretty critical relationships that Wagner has with the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, one of the two kind of factions that are fighting right now. I called out a couple interesting relationships that the RSF has specific to gold and gold mining, and the comments blew up. Of course you're saying Russia's involved. Well, I'm trying to find the video. I just tweeted out about this. But there is information in the environment right now to suggest that Wagner is overtly operating in Sudan now. Not necessarily just covertly. Vehicles with Z markings on them and, head to toe Russian soft equipment. So this is the second call to action. If you guys happen to find that video, I would love to review it. I would love to take a look at it. And get that uploaded to the website. So that's one of the 2 videos that we released over the last couple days. The second of which just hit the wire yesterday. I had a chance to sit down with Tuck Smash. Now, Tuck is a former MMA fighter, amateur 155-pound belt holder. His record was 4-1. He only lost his first fight, then won 4 in a row to claim the belt. His last fight was in April. And after that, he decided to go and fight in Ukraine. If you haven't had a chance to watch that interview, that was a really down-to-earth, really humbling conversation to have. We talk about some hard topics. We talk about some funny topics. And I think it's a really, really good discussion. The other was a video that I launched just this morning. But we're actually going to talk about that one. Let's get started on some footage here. Information overnight. was released about a potential drone attack. I shouldn't say potential because at this point, everybody has acknowledged that it happened. What most people are still trying to figure out is who done it. But a drone attack on the Kremlin. Now, we're going to watch the video here for a second, and then I've got quite a few key points that I want to make sure we talk about here. Not least of which, the purpose of this specific building. Let's take a look at some of this footage. I've got 3 separate angles for you here. All right, I'm just going to pause the video there and put myself on the left here so we can talk about this for a little bit. Now, again, I released a video earlier this morning. I want to say it was around 11:30, 12 o'clock or so Eastern. Excuse me. That, talked about a couple things in the video, and I want to scroll back because there are, quite specifically 3 things I want to call out here. I'm going to put myself in the low right, actually. First, I'd like to talk about these dudes right here, right? These are being pointed out. These individuals on top of this dome are being pointed out all across social media with a couple potential explanations, right? There's really only 2 possible explanations here. One is favored by Josh, which he, notes as Hanlon's razor. That effectively, it's a security team. Now, it's not surprising on the roof of a government building to see personnel, to see a security team. The other possibility, the alternative that's being suggested here, is that these are potentially personnel laying in wait for a known or expected attack from almost a first response perspective, i.e., if, the drone is going to hit at X time, be ready to put out any potential fires. So that's one of the first things that people are calling out, which I noted in the video that we put up earlier today. Now, another thing that I want to talk a little bit about is the relative or general lack of accuracy of this drone. And that is, unless the attempt is to take down the flag, this drone misses a very large target. We've seen these drones essentially impact whatever they want to. We've seen them drop hole-in-ones, munitions through turrets. We've seen them hit moving, 4x4 pickup trucks. These are extremely accurate drones. So unless the goal was symbolic in nature, i.e., knock the flag off of the pole, this thing missed by a mile. Missed by an inch, missed by a mile. This building specifically is where things start getting interesting. That's the Senate Palace. The Senate Palace is, a part of the larger Kremlin compound that effectively houses the Russian presidential administration. That is effectively Putin's official house. A lot of the headlines are stating very specifically that this is the Kremlin, and they're not wrong. But the additional context that's necessary to understand here is that is the Senate building. That is the Senate Palace where, oddly enough, the presidential administration resides. Now, whether or not Putin actually stays there, there are plenty of articles that suggest that he has many houses around the country, but that would effectively be the equivalent, rough equivalent of a White House. I'm probably explaining that a little poorly. That's where the president officially lives. That accuracy, though, if the 2 leading theories, of course, are that Ukraine did this, of course. That is first and foremost what the Kremlin has claimed. That's what Putin has claimed. The Kremlin called it a terrorist attack. Putin said that he was just barely missed by an assassination attempt of some kind of 2 drones. Were reportedly 2 drones that were used in this attack. On the flip side, the alternative, flipping the coin over for a second, the alternative possibility is that this is some kind of a false flag attack. The things that are indicative of it being a false flag attack, which I'm just giving you the information, are the personnel on top of the building, first and foremost. Again, you can explain that in a security detail, a la White House, Pentagon, or potentially somebody waiting to extinguish or provide first response to a known attack. The second is the accuracy. The Kremlin doesn't want to damage their own buildings beyond repair, so $150 for a change of paint and the ability to narrativize this strike for some level of escalation or retaliation would have high value. There is a third option that I'm going to suggest, one that would leave both the Ukrainians saying what they are, which is that they don't have any information, nor were they any a part of this attack, and the Russians claiming that it was Ukrainians, one that would bring those to the middle, and that is effectively partisan activity. Partisan activity a la Wolverines, the Swayze types, not the new one. The Swayze one's so much better. Partisan activity would make a little bit more sense here. There wouldn't necessarily have needed to be a whole lot of communication and coordination. We've talked before about the commercial availability of these drones, the relatively simple changes to the drones that you would need to make to provide an explosive payload, and then effectively they could just execute that. That's another possibility. But as it stands right now, none of them, you can easily make a justification for just about any of them. I'm going to pause right here for a second and check in on the chat. Or ultra-nationalists escalating. That's true as well. That would be kind of a fourth option, if you will. Kind of force the Kremlin's hand, force Russia's hand. Okay. It was the Sudanese. Ukraine denied it already? Trekking. Yep, absolutely. It was not them. Chinese balloon, like the one off of Hawaii. For those wondering about that comment, the U.S. government has admitted there's an additional balloon off the coast of Hawaii, and I haven't looked into this one very much, but they said effectively we're not going to shoot it down, something like that. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. Once again, not my birthday, guys. Welcome in. Please do tap on the like button. And, discourse is absolutely more than welcome, right? I'll always keep one foot in an alternate perspective. So if you disagree with something, please repeatedly and excessively spam it in the chat. The more chat comments that you send it in to us, the better. Happy Conception Day, the Kremlin. Are we going to war? There are some other rumors that are going around about escalating activity right now. Those aren't something that I think I'd be ready to talk about just yet, because there's a lot of fear mongering. There's some fear mongering aspects to that. There are actually, the one I will talk about, there are some very prominent Twitter accounts right now that are essentially saying that this will be an opportunity for Russia to take the gloves off. I didn't know the gloves were still on, to be honest with you. There are always additional measures or additional, steps up the ladder of escalation that you can take. But the gloves have been off for some time. Russia invaded Ukraine. It's just really about how much more they want to press on the gas pedal until you end up with some extremely decisive action. And in that instance, and what these Twitter accounts are primarily talking about, has undertones of nuclear. And that's sensationalizing it, to be quite honest with you. That's just my opinion, though. All right, I want to move on, though. So that is the biggest story to probably hit today. A lot of questions that surround, the type of drone even. It's really difficult to see which pixel would be indicative of this. But there are some questions as to whether or not it's a Lancet drone. The Lancet drone being one of Russia's most prolific drones that they're using in Ukraine right now. From a flight perspective, the way it detonates, there are those out there that believe that. I don't have enough information on hand to really determine something like that. The explosion itself was relatively weak, almost as though it was intended to be weak, or as though it was underdeveloped, a la partisan activity. Let's move on, though. I want to talk about, we're jumping right into the footage today. Again, when I restructured the stream, we have kind of a, Ronnie's pick, my pick of videos that we've posted to the app and to the website over typically the last 7 days, but we just talked to you guys last Friday. We're streaming on Wednesday just out of some flexibility needs for the schedule. But I want to talk a little bit about Crimea. Crimea was also hit on April 29th. We haven't yet had a chance to cover this stuff on the live stream, understanding that it just took place on the 29th. Crimea was hit by a drone, a Ukrainian drone. More specifically, Sevastopol. Some pretty amazing footage of that initial strike, that's actually just starting to hit the airwaves now. What we originally received was a lot of footage that showed the black plume of smoke going up into the air. What you're going to see here is video that shows that initial strike on the oil depot in Sevastopol.
Вот в верхнем левом углу летит. Идет сработка ПВО. Первая сбитая. Чуть выше сейчас появляется вторая. Второй беспилотник. Отсюда работает ПВО. Вторая летит навстречу, да, ракета. Да, не успевает, и попадание в резервуар идет.
So again, that's that initial strike. And we'll show you some aftermath footage here in just a second of what this ultimately turned into. Each of these, if I understand them correctly, are oil tanks in Sevastopol. Come on. There we go. I need to update my stream deck or something. It's been pretty delayed lately. Here is one of the sympathetic detonations following that strike.
Охуеть!
And then there's quite a bit more footage of, those black cloud plumes in the air. I want to just cover one of those. In the stream description, there should be 3 videos that I dropped into the chat for you guys. We'll just cover this one really quick. Coming up now. Thank you. Huge plume of smoke. Those oil tanks down there at the very bottom of the screen. Oil fire, really difficult fire to contain and put down. Beautifully horrifying, yeah, absolutely. We're going to see a couple big strikes, from Russia's perspective as well. We'll be jumping into that in 4 or 5 more videos here. But like I mentioned, in the stream description, there are a series of videos from the original Twitter accounts that I found them, where you guys can go over and even potentially follow those accounts if you'd like to. I want to shift into Bakhmut. Now, this next video isn't necessarily going to be combat footage. That's our bread and butter, and that's what we typically will post to the website, right? Every so often we'll post something that's relatively newsworthy, but something I've noted before is the potential rift between Wagner and, more specifically, Prigozyn and, the Russian Ministry of Defense, more specifically, Sergei Shoigu. Well, Prigozyn gave a speech that I'm not going to burn any of, Prigozyn being the head of Wagner. And here it is. Button. I've already pressed the button. Thank you.
Шойгу Сергея Кожугетовича с просьбой выдать незамедлительно боеприпасы. В случае отказа от этой выдачи считаю необходимым довести до Верховного Главнокомандующего информацию о существующей проблеме для принятия решения и о целесообразности дальнейшего нахождения подразделений ЧВК «Вагнер» в населенном пункте Бахмут в условиях сложившегося дефицита боеприпасов. Информирую вас, что ситуацию снарядного голода, исходя из остатков боеприпасов, которые вот мы сейчас опять считали каждое утро, да, и неоправданных санитарных потерь, критический срок принятия решения Дырочка уже сегодня. Мы считаем, что срок
Да уже
принятия
вчера, я
решения,
так понимаю.
да, 20, вчера я это письмо не отправлял, сегодня отправлю. 28 апреля, это срок принятия решения, мы идем наступать на Бахмут или нет? Мы находимся здесь или нет? Мы ЧВК «Вагнер», мы патриоты. И мы будем идти в Бахмуте, пока у нас есть последний патрон. Но этих патронов осталось уже не на неделе, а на дни. И поэтому, если дефицит боеприпасов не будет восполнен, то мы вынуждены будем в организованном порядке, чтобы не бежать как трусливые крысы потом, либо выходить, либо остаться погибать. Скорее всего, часть подразделений мы вынуждены будем вывести с этой территории.
All right, let's bring it up, and I'll summarize for you. So one of the things that I've talked about is how Wagner was needing to, go soldier to soldier rather than organization to organization, or, Wagner to Ministry of Defense. They were having to go small unit to receive ammunition from, the Russian Ministry of Defense forces that were on the ground. Their relationships that they had established at the tactical levels were positive. Up at the, operational and strategic levels, they were having a lot of challenges receiving ammunition supplies from, big Russia. What Prigozyn is effectively saying here, and it's a little bit backwards the way he says it, but he effectively says we have days worth of ammo, not weeks. And if this was April 28th, if we don't receive more ammunition, Wagner will be departing from Bakhmut. I just thought that one was something that's interesting because, of course, for whatever reason, as soon as I noted that, and I remember it was a few weeks ago, probably a couple months ago at this point, it's Groundhog Day over here, when I noted that there was a rift going on between the Russian Ministry of Defense and Wagner, you guys know exactly what happened in the comments. But straight from Prigozhin himself, they are not being supplied appropriately, and he did threaten to pull Wagner from Bakhmut. We're going to see some other footage from Bakhmut, though. It turns out they did not leave Bakhmut, and Bakhmut looks like an absolute apocalypse. These top-down views provide so much context to what's happening on the ground. Coming up for you as soon as that Stream Deck decides it wants to work. Ta-da! Go. Okay. I mean, what's somewhat notable about this is that there is, to a certain extent, some infrastructure left, right? It's few and far between, though. Looking at this closer area here, I mean, there's really nothing habitable. These buildings on the far left over here. This is the state of Bakhmut as it stands. Now, at one point, Prigozhin, we've heard from Prigozhin a couple times over the last couple days about advances that they've made in Bakhmut. And at one point, a few days ago, he noted that 99 Wagner soldiers, or Wagner employees, their employees, 99 Wagner employees were killed to achieve a 230-meter advance, 260-meter advance, the rough equivalent of 2 city blocks. Earlier today, some audio was released of Prigozhin stating that 100 plus, and I can't validate the audio. The video of Prigozhin stating the 99 that were killed for 230, 260 meters, it's a little bit easier to validate. But the audio that was released supposedly was Prigozhin stating that over 100 Wagner employees were killed to achieve 130 meters of an advancement. Just some additional context for you here. Regardless, Bakhmut is still extremely difficult to access or leave. Some video was released to TikTok of the drive into and out of Bakhmut. Specifically here, we're going to see the drive into Bakhmut. And it gives off some Mad Max vibes. Copyright and music there. Going to keep it off. Make note of the background. Smoking skyline. Destroyed vehicles. And check in on the support that's coming in over here. OM Spot, thank you very much for the 20. Appreciate that. Appreciate the 20. Mr. Bit 10, thank you for the $10. There were 2 drones, 60 minutes apart. Coming back up. As soon as my buttons decide to work. Mr. Bit 10, thank you for the $10. There were 2 drones, 60 minutes apart. First was 2:27 a.m. and 2:43 a.m. Those men are likely checking any potential damage from the first hit. My guess, partisans, maybe some folks who hit the airbase weeks ago. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, great context. Great additional context there. Emerald Wolf, thank you for the $5. How long do you think it's going to take to rebuild after this war is over? And are some of the cities just lost forever? That's kind of a softball of a question. You know, we've seen examples of Ukraine trying to actively rebuild while this is happening. In fact, it's been, used from an information warfare perspective by, there are people out there that deny that this war is happening in the first place. It's been used by those folks. There's an apartment building specifically, Yuri and I actually talked about this, where it was rebuilt at such speed that essentially folks said it was all fake. That's really going to be dependent upon the longevity of Western aid, because there is Western aid that's being allocated against that type of necessity for Ukraine afterwards, as well as whether or not the West is able to hold Russia accountable for the destruction of the cities. That's starting to get outside my knowledge base. But probably a very long time. Very long time. B. Dobson, thanks very much for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Welcome. Common Sense Defense, thanks very much for becoming a member. TJ, thank you for the 3 months. Let's move on to another video out of Bakhmut to see some Russian strikes. Just absolutely interesting. Once again, I did my thing where I had the wrong link. Not to worry. We'll use the search function. Just go grab it. Found it. Easy. Some pretty heavy Russian strikes coming up for you now. Button. Thank you. No sound to this video. There is no sound to this video. We are maxed out. All right, coming up. All right, the button worked that time. So that's what I wanted to show you guys from Bakhmut. I do believe we're going to see another couple videos once we get to our top 10 section. So this is the beginning portion of the stream where I cover, some of the latest footage that's coming out. The latter portion of the stream, we go through the top 10 most watched videos on the app and website. A bit of a heads up before we get there. Since we were just here on Friday, some of the footage that we're going to see on this week's top 10, we already covered in last week's stream. So just giving you a heads up on that one. I want to shift to Pavlograd for a moment, where Russia hit a fuel storage facility. This is some Fifth Element big bada boom stuff that you're about to see here. Coming up for you as soon as my buttons decide to work. Hey, look at that. Volume warning. That's the initial strike. But wait. There's more. Now I've got more detail to provide you guys on this, but what you're effectively looking at, and I misspoke a few moments ago. This is an old Soviet era solid rocket fuel storage site that, if I understand correctly, was slated for destruction for some time. And the exact reason that it was slated for destruction you just witnessed. Hey, Funker. How are you? Funker himself is in the chat, everybody. Am I fired yet, boss? You can hear a dog. Jayhawk, thank you for the $2. Let's bring it up. Button. Thank you. So that's what I wanted to show you for now on Pavlograd. We do have another video, one that is in color, but that is a part of our top 10, and we'll get to that here in just a second. I'm going to pause here and take a look at the chat, and Funker's talking about his chickens. We're going to come right back out of the chat and move on. Now, this next section is still in Ukraine. I've got a little bit of footage that I wanted us to take a look at from Myanmar, as well as a, pretty scary bit of footage coming out of Fairfax County, Virginia. But we'll see that here in just a second. I want to stick with Ukraine here because the VDV, Russia's Airborne, actually released a combat compilation. Now, we don't see a whole lot of this kind of footage coming from Russia. So when it comes out, we want to make sure that we're, sharing that and showing it. That video is coming up for you now. I'm going to have to keep the sound off on this one because of copyright. Again, we're getting kicked around quite a bit on copyright. And we want to make sure that the show stays live for as long as we can. Video's coming up. Button. Thank you. Yeah, I don't. I'll turn some of our music on here. Okay, that didn't work. Better without the music? Yeah. Is Russia losing? If so, what constitutes a loss? I wouldn't say Russia is losing. I wouldn't say they're winning either, though. It really depends on what your gauge for winning and losing is. If your gauge for winning and losing is, owning and maintaining Ukrainian territory, yes, by technicality, Russia still has control of Ukrainian territory. If your gauge is territory lost versus territory taken, Ukraine has recovered more territory from Russia than Russia held. So you can look at it that way. If you want to look at it from a casualties perspective, that's going to be difficult, given that, casualties and casualty tracking, especially of Russia, is going to be really difficult to ascertain. Alf, thank you for hitting the support button. Something that I wanted to note, while we were talking about Prigozyn earlier, I'm putting myself in the low right here. Prigozyn also noted something within the last 24 hours that I find to be interesting. And this is a part of that audio message as well. He states that he believes, if the audio message is real, that this Ukrainian counteroffensive that we've been waiting for has begun. He stated that he is seeing increased activity across the entirety of the line of contact, the forward line of troops. Something to keep an eye on. Forgot to mention that one. On an international level, Russia lost, NATO expanded sanctions. That's actually something that, I've talked about before, is the global power balance. We were talking about that a year ago, is how does the global power balance shake out at the tail end of this? That's another one of those big questions. Alf, thank you very much for the 30. Appreciate that. Happy birthday, Ryan. Not my birthday. Not my birthday. Funker, quit pouring gas on the fire before I let a fox into your hen house. Please do tap on the like button, though. It's actually extremely helpful. Free and easy way to support the stream. If you're wondering what we're watching here, I have the sound off because I just don't want to listen to that. If you're wondering what we're watching here, we're watching a compilation released by Russia's Airborne, VDV. Let's bring it back up. I'm telling you, something going on with the buttons here. Maybe I need to update the software. I'm not sure. The next video, sticking with Ukraine, I thought this one was interesting. You see a lot of technicals, a lot of NTVs, what we would call them, riding around in Ukraine right now. And you have to wonder, what it would be like, some of us, being inside of it when it takes contact. What you're going to see here are Ukrainians driving around in some form of a civilian-type vehicle, non-tactical vehicle, no armor on it, more specifically, when it receives at least one round. One more time on that one. All right, let's bring it back up. The original source reported that it was a marksman or a sniper round of some kind. All I truly know is that a little bit of pee came out the first time I watched it. Checking in on the chat here. Looks like it might have had some incendiary compound in that round as well. Yeah, difficult. I mean, I wouldn't know. Right between them, yeah. How can they be so calm? I mean, at some point, there's a level of normalization that you'd expect, to a certain extent. My conversation with Craig French, Tuck Smash, was something that shed a whole lot of light on that. Is folks can essentially be normalized while in combat, and then one day it just reaches that emotional cliff, if you will. All right, I got one more that's not in our top 10 that I wanted to review with you guys. Speaking of drones and Lancet drones, how do you defeat it? With a tarp, actually. Believe it or not. This is a Russian Lancet drone that's going to try and impact a Ukrainian position here. Somewhere in Ukraine. Don't have a great location on where. And it's not a tarp, actually. You know, I'm just being a little funny. What it is camo netting. That man unasked that location very quickly. See that impact again. Audio's turned all the way up on this. Did they shoot it at the end there? Yes. Yeah, they sure did. Just to kind of slow that down for you, put your eyes about right here. As soon as he rounds that corner, he's going to turn. He's going to put a couple rounds on this thing. Coming up. All right, there's what we had for the... essentially my selection. Like I said, that's stuff that I thought was interesting, that's hitting the wire over the last, I guess, I got to count on my fingers. Nobody said I was smart. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the last 5 days or so. Now, there's a lot more of it. On the app, on the website, I can only cover a small portion of everything that we cover. And we, by just the total size of a small team, can't cover everything. So again, I'll ask for you guys to tag us on stuff. Tag us in socials. Send it to us on Instagram when you find it. Our goal is to just document it, to get it archived, right? We try to get you stuff when it hits the wire as fast as possible. But ultimately, at the foundational level, it's making sure it gets stored, set aside, so that when you do want to see a drone get caught by camo netting and then shot, you know where you can go and find it. Hairy forearms. I'm a hairy dude, man. Yeah, a lot of whiskey. A lot of bourbon. That'll do it. First confirmed Lancet killed by a sniper. Just reading through here. Please do tap on the like button. Anthony, how are you? Bias lately? Question mark? That's your goal. Not really. It's not really the goal. It happens as a human being. Right? Every human being has their bias. From a foundational perspective, we do our very best to keep posting as much perspectives as possible. As individuals, as human beings, we do have our biases. So do you. If you don't recognize that you have one, you're just being ignorant about it. Is what it is. All right, let's jump into our top 10. This is going to be our top 10 videos on the Funker app and on the website. I don't pick these videos. Some of them we will have reviewed last week on Friday. Excuse me, we've got 2 more videos to watch before we get to the top 10. We're going to check in on Myanmar and the anti-junta forces as they fight back to retake control of their government that was taken over by the military in 2021. What you're going to see here is actually an interesting video. The link for this is in the stream description. But we're not going to watch this whole thing. What we're going to watch is a small section of it, a very small section of it, about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Tell me what sticks out to you in this video. Coming up for you now. These are anti-junta forces that have labeled themselves Special Operations Forces. And when you think about that relative, let me put myself back over here for a second. When you think about that relative to, the other anti-junta fighters that we see, you have to keep that in mind. SOF is relative. With that in mind, let's get started here. Button, thank you. This is training. Anything stick out? Let's go back to it.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Woo! Oh shit. Şeve. Evet tamam. Tek polis.
Chạy đó,
böyle.
chạy đó. Đấy.
I wanted to keep watching this because they're training drive-bys right now. Let's bring it up. Most of you keyed in on it right away. That the sound of that American accent there. Now, I'm obviously not trying to lead you to anything other than some form of an American is there. I have no idea who that could be. But if you guys want to watch that whole video, it's actually pretty revealing. It provides a whole lot of context. You know, like I mentioned, we've watched footage of the conflict in Myanmar where the anti-junta forces are running around literally barefoot. We've seen them using FGC-9 3D printed weapons. So to see them uniformed, working through some level of standardization through training is quite a bit of a shift from what has been taking place so far. I think it's an interesting video. It's linked in the stream description for you if you'd like to go over there and check that out. The last one that I want to watch here before we get into our top 10, and we're going to be jumping right into the top 10, comes from Fairfax, Virginia. Now, we do cover other stuff, not just combat footage. We cover law enforcement video as well. I'm not going to describe this one for you. Here you go.
Bravo, Serve Me Rescue, Serve Me Units, accident, right here at County Parkway, south after Braddock. My cruiser was hit, driver was hit. I'm trying to check on injuries.
Now, supposedly this teen driver, driving a BMW, was going in excess of 120 miles an hour when he lost control, slid right into everything that you see on the screen. Everything. Literally hit everything. Let's bring it up. So, wanted to show you guys that one. That one happened on, I want to say, May 1st. If I'm not mistaken, it's right up there in the top of the screen. Yes, May 1st. I saw a comment while we were watching that. I've seen this one 100 times. We're only live once a week. So sometimes you're going to see things already prior to being here. Sometimes not so much. Is what it is. Mommy took away my BMW. Lucky cop. Yeah. Lucky he started moving. He'd have been trapped between that vehicle and the guardrail otherwise. Terrible drift. All right, let's get jumping into our top 10 videos of the week. Checking in on the support. Thank you very much for it. Jason, thank you very much for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Alf, thank you for the 286. And Alf, thank you for becoming a member. Jayhawk, thanks again for the $2. Emerald Wolf for the $5. Appreciate you guys, man. This stream's free, right? All we do ask is a tap on the like button, drop in the chat, let us know that you're watching, that you're here hanging out with us. Your generosity is huge, and thank you so much for it. Let's get started on that top 10, though. I was reading through the chat there. Sometimes I get, sidebarred, hanging out with you guys. So number 10, the number 10 most watched video on the app and website is actually a very technical maneuver. I don't have a whole lot of time to explain what this technical maneuver is called, but you've heard of recon by fire. This series of Russian tanks is doing what's known as a recon by send it when they hit an ambush. This is our number 10 most watched video on the app and website. I don't have a great location for this one, but we do have some pretty high quality, relatively, footage of it. Now, I wanted to show you guys exactly what happens here. So we're going to slow this thing way down. I want you to pay attention to this house right here. Maybe it's this house. One of these two houses. There it is, right there. That second house. I knew it was one of them. Don't hate me for it. Or do. That's fine. You can see the change in the environment around whatever anti-tank weapon was fired at it. All right, let's turn it back on go fast mode. Now, something that's notable about the, flaming Russian tank is you'll see the crew start to jump out as well. Right there. And then the second tank is hit. Now, the second tank almost looks as though it's hit by a mine. Bring it up. That's our number 10 most watched video on the app and website. And that one was published by Josh. Joshy. We're going to shift back. So for number 9 of the most watched videos, and that last one we watched had about 20,800 views on the site. We're going to shift back to Pavlograd for a different perspective. This is our number 9 most watched video. Once again, big, big, big boom. This is the strike on that solid rocket fuel storage facility. Waiting on my buttons. I'm pushing my own buttons, but they don't work. Imagine being on the ground. Imagine being these people and seeing an explosion of that caliber. I'm sure you can guess what's probably going through their mind. Now, this was, like I mentioned earlier, was reading through the chat there for a second. This was a strike on a Soviet-era storage facility of solid rocket fuel. If I understand correctly, which, I could very well be wrong, but if I understand correctly, that solid rocket fuel had, quote, expired and was destined for destruction. For these very reasons. All right, that's number 9 from the app and website. Let's move on to number 8. So number 8 is more footage out of Bakhmut. This is helmet cam footage from a Ukrainian perspective. As they move through in and around Bakhmut in the small area that Ukraine still has control of, not including fires control, right? So fires control is essentially an area where it is inside of artillery range. Just about all of Bakhmut is inside of Ukrainian artillery range. Copyright problems here. Going to keep that down. That's a Humvee. Checking in on the chat while we're watching. Austin, thank you for hitting the member button. Appreciate that. Welcome. Timmy. Yep, there was a comment calling that out earlier. That's great context. Great context. Ronnie, new tattoo? No, I do have plans for another. Just got to find the time to go sit in the chair. Good position, well inside of that room. Yeah, I just don't know if that music is copywritten or not. All right, coming up. That's our number 8 most watched video on the app and website. Ronnie, thanks for streaming these. Hanging out here with you in the chat brings me good mood despite the footage observed. Yeah, I mean, you can only be so happy watching war take place, but that is, what comes with the territory, right? I try to liven the mood up a little bit. I got a funny one for you a little bit later on once we get through our top 10. Take you back to the global war on terror and a little bit of that dark humor that we've been talking about. The challenge that I will repeatedly, there's a couple things that I will repeatedly say. The challenge for us is continuing to showcase the footage while not normalizing it. That's always going to be our challenge. All right, let's jump into a Ukrainian position, a trench that gets overrun, and these are the Ukrainian efforts to remove that occupying force from their trench. This is our number 7 most watched video on the app and website. It is what it is. I don't pick these videos.
Як його витягнути, бля?
Він ж кусається, що ли?
Так понятно, що він зараз працює. Я не знаю, як його витягнути. Блін, я постелю каремата. Він по ньому може вилізе. Тихо. Тако. Опа. Давай. Виходь. Куда? Ох, блядь, диви, він хоче напасти. Чекай, я знаю що. Мабуть, я броніка кину, да? По броніку він точно вилізе. Тихо. Так, бляха, не нападай, а? О. По броніку він вилізе. Давай, пішов. Пошел. Давай.
So that is a marbled polecat, and it is fucking terrifying. This reminds me of those. There's a Instagram reel audio that gets shared around. Does he bite? not me. That thing bites everybody, right? Terrifying. Badger. It's a marbled polecat. That's the animal that you're looking at there. That was number 7. Most watched video on the app and website. Again, I don't pick these. That had 22,990 views, 253 upvotes, and only 9 downvotes. Good ratio there on that one. We watched this video last week. This is number 6. And I want to say this one takes place in Brazil. Once again, oh no, excuse me, Mexico. This took place in Mexico, where an unarmed man essentially just refused to be a victim. Check this out. I hit the button. Whenever it decides to work. Okay, thank you. Who's filming? It's one of those GoPros that has a 360-degree field of view that you can mount on stuff. It's mounted. You can see the mount right here. Can't be a real gun. Well, it was shot. It was fired at him a couple times. If you watch here... So whatever it is, it's got next to no recoil. But I'm sure he's not aware of that. All right, let's bring it up. Again, that took place in Mexico, and that was our number 6 most watched video. We covered that one last week on Friday. That was just one that I threw into the tail end of the stream. And there were a lot of questions then, in the chat. Who's filming? This looks fake because the thing's panning. What it is the 360-degree action cams. You'll oftentimes see them used in like ski videos and stuff on Instagram, where essentially you get a 360-degree panoramic video that you can just point wherever you want the final edit to be. All right. We're getting into our top 5 here. We are moving into Brazil. That's why I had Brazil on the mind. What you're going to see here are military police in Brazil that get engaged by an absolute idiot. Here, just watch the video. They're actually on duty this time.
Tem cara atrás, Desce, desce os dois. Desce, deita no chão.
Are we still alive? Breaking up. Let's bring the camera back up here and see if we're starting to even out a little bit. It's back. Hello. We're having quite a few issues with our bit rate right now. Haven't had many issues on this side of the house. Looks like we're evening out a little bit, though. You guys let me know if it starts to settle down. We're back. Hello. Yes. Hi, guys. Not sure what happened there. Solar flares. Don't know. Try unplugging it and plugging it back in. That would kill the stream entirely. That's what that would do. We're good. All right. Good malfunction clear. Yeah. Nope. Going down again. Yeah, looks like we're going to continue to have problems here. Hello. Oh my goodness, chat just blew up there. What's going on, guys? We are live. Yeah, but we're still having some frame rate issues. I'm willing to bet it's going to go down here fully at some point. What we might do, we're going to try to get it through. We're going to try to make it through the stream. All right? If it goes down, just everybody spam the chat as hard and as fast as possible with, I don't know, something funny. Let's go back to this video.
Tem cara atrás, tem cara atrás. Desce, desce os dois. Desce, deita, deita no chão. Deita no chão. Tá com o quê? Tá com o quê? Tá com o quê? Prioridade, Copom. Troca de tiro, auxiliar Charlie. Pantanal, Copom.
All right, let's bring it back up. If you guys are still having, you know, some issues with video, just restart the app. Or like if you're watching on the YouTube app on your phone, or restart your browser. You know, because we are all green on upload now. Hey, it's a home studio. I am reliant on ISPs. Let's move on to number 4. We're going to keep trying to hammer through this. Top 10 most watched videos on the app and website. We're going to see Ukrainian JDAM strikes on Russian positions in Bakhmut. This is another one of those videos that we reviewed last week in the, you know, hot videos section. Again, that section of videos that I kind of pick and choose from the uploads that we have on the website for things that are hot or emerging. JDAM kits were something that were discussed, you know, months and months and months ago. This is the first, you know, I shouldn't say the first. There's other video that is reported to be JDAMs. This is the first that's kind of been acknowledged in the information environment that I have seen to be JDAMs. Again, the JDAM is a kit that effectively turns a dumb bomb into a smart bomb. Once it is that smart bomb, it is a JDAM. Coming up now. Full screen. Please go. Send it. Go Gadget screen. Thank you. Going to keep the sound off on that one. Joint directed attack munition. If I have that correctly. Joint directed attack munition. What it essentially is, you know, you take an unguided dumb bomb, if you will. Right, imagine just a big old dumb bomb. When I say it's dumb, I don't mean its intelligence. I mean that it can't guide itself anywhere. Right? I guess that is its intelligence. And then you slap some fins on it and, you know, some guidance capability, and you turn it into a smart bomb. A bomb that can, you know, from a certain perspective, guide its way to its target. Those are the JDAM kits that were provided to Ukraine. They have retrofitted those kits, if I understand correctly, to be placed on their MiGs, which is the delivery mechanism. I'm just checking in on the chat here for a few minutes. And did I get it off the top of my head right? Joint directed attack munition. I think I nailed it. Memorization is not my strong suit. Holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, there were 4 of them specifically there in that last video. JDM Pinkett. Funker530, would you go and fight if you could? No, probably not. All right. The next one we're going to see is one that was mentioned a few times. And this is another one of those that we kind of reviewed last week, but it wasn't necessarily a part of the stream. Somebody asked a question about it, and I just pulled it up quickly. What you're going to see here is the Gepard hit by a Lancet. And it doesn't appear to do much damage. Go Gadget button press. Thank you. Now, Gepard means cheetah. It's essentially an anti-aircraft gun. German anti-aircraft gun. Just wanted to show you guys where you guys can find all this stuff. You know, rather than having to listen to my stupid face make noises, just click on trending at the top. This is exactly what we're reviewing tonight, right here, this top 10. So the next one is this one. It's going to be a little bit not safe for work, okay? War happens in this one. Wrong button. Not that the button worked anyway. This is going to be, one of those videos where, I provide some level of discretion, or I ask for some level of discretion. Russia essentially said that this video that we're about to watch was nothing more than a fisherman. Will blogged this one and notes 2 interesting cylindrical shaped objects. Now, I've seen a lot of back and forth on Twitter here. On the one side, Ukraine is claiming that this was a Russian infiltrator of some kind that appears to have some form of a shoulder-fired launcher. Russia claims that it was nothing more than a fisherman. I'll bring the video up for you guys so you can see. I don't know why there's goat sounds, but... Discretion advised. Once again. Yuck. Now, something that Will noted here. I want to take you guys to Will's tweet. Boop. Because Will called out the RPO that's inside of the boat. And somebody on Twitter said that it was nothing more than a, I don't know, fishing rod holder, I think is what I saw somebody say. Come on, thank you. Right there. Now again, the only reason that's notable is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, what Russia's statements about this were. Russia's statement was that Ukraine attacked a civilian that was just fishing. He just happens to be fishing with an RPOA Schmel M thermobaric rocket launcher. Will says he normally uses a wacky worm. I'll give you guys a link to that tweet. I feel like the wacky worm's probably going to be much less effective. So that was number 3, most watched video on the app and website. That one had 39,000 views. Or excuse me, that was number 2. This next one. We've seen this one. What you're going to see here is GoPro. GoPro footage as Ukrainians advance near Bakhmut through previously Russian-held trenches. This one's another one of those discretion-advised videos. There will be, deceased people in this video. Essentially, Ukrainians are having to crawl over, in this instance, dead Russians. So, discretion's advised. That video is coming up for you now. This is our number 1 most watched video on the app and website over the last 7 days.
Давай. Я пошел. Да.
This one again. Yep, like I said, I don't pick and choose what we review on the top 10 section. Just what's on the website. This video has been everywhere, brother. See, rewind 10 seconds. We are just looking at our top 10 section here. I don't get top 10 in my email anymore. Check your spam folder. We've noted that Google has started pushing our emails to spam.
Сейчас. Рух. Стоп! Еще двое. Еще двое. Влад. Нихуя. Хо-хо. Да. Идем, 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 идем. Рассосались.
What website? Funker530.com. All right, let's bring it up. I got one more video for you guys tonight. I'm going to try and bring the mood up a little bit. We're going to take you back to 2010 in the 173rd Airborne Division in Afghanistan. Now, there was an Afghan sniper known as Single Shot Freddy. I'll give you the story of Single Shot Freddy here. Again, we document combat footage whenever it takes place.
That shit was close, dude.
Hunter, what's going on right now?
We're getting shot at by Single Shot Freddy.
Who's that?
I have a feeling he's a blind Afghan man somewhere between the ages of 60 and 75 years old. And he likes to scare the shit out of us with these single shots that he takes. We've been getting real close, so we're all hiding right now.
How come you think he's blind?
Well, because he hasn't hit anything yet.
That one gets me every time I watch it. Sick, thank you for the $2, sir. You ever fish with dynamite? No, but I want to. Like, real bad now. Like, real bad. Avalon, thank you for the $5. Austin, thanks for becoming a member. Welcome. Jason, thank you very much for becoming a member. Alf, thank you for the $2.86. Guys, thank you very much for being here tonight. We're ending a little bit earlier. We went over on Friday. I won't see you this Friday. Next time you're going to see me is, well, if you join me over on the other stream. It's going to automatically redirect you over there. We'll kick back. We'll have a beer. I got to go get a beer. They're in the downstairs fridge. Anyway, the next time you'll see me is either over there if you'd like to come and join us, where we'll raise a little bit of money for veteran charity, or next week for another episode of War. Good night. Stay informed.